Okay. It's so cold today. Hey. Oh, I really haven't played so loud. Ooh. That's not right. Okay. We're happy and we're having fun. Even if Zachary fumbles with his steps and did the funniest, oddest movements that anyone can pass off as dancing. There's no need to impress anyone, however, not even each other. And this is the most I've smiled and laughed in a long time. Aw. It is simple. Simple is nice. Okay. I messed with the audio again, because I feel like, maybe I was too loud, because I feel like every time I laugh, I peaked. It was really... I didn't like that, so hopefully it's a little bit better. I wish the same can be said about what I'm going to do. Oh, what is this? In the aftermath of Rochelle's accusations, a devastated Hannah was seen exiting the ballroom with Rebecca, Gales, and Zachary Steele. Hannah was left in the care of the man, when Rebecca had to go back to the party in search of Ashton. Now all of the two had a talk, and both were smiling by the end of it. Nice. Simple isn't the adjective I will use to describe the task at hand. Because really, how does one tell their husband that they want to separate and say that, no, this is not a divorce? Not yet, at least. The possibility is there. But still, how am I even to explain that to Luke without him throwing a fit? Cutting too deeply into my sausages, I opened my mouth to excuse myself. That is enticed by Luke mashing and stirring his poached eggs with a fork like a petulant child. He has been silent all the while, chin in his hand and elbow resting on the table. I worried that my absence after the debacle may have caused more harm than good.
Luke?
It's not you. Okay, it's you. Interesting.
I think we need a bit of a break. You know, some time apart.
At my words, he grows still and silent. I'm not quite sure whether I should be worried or not. I take it as my cue to keep talking.
It's not permanent or anything like that. Just for a while. In a few days, perhaps. I was thinking I can move back into our penthouse in the meantime, but I won't be moving out right away, so that I can help settle everything here. And I haven't even thought of packing yet. And I'll want to ask Johans to assign some of our staff.
Uh-huh. Oh. I think I can make this a little bit quieter. It's just a hair. Actually, I don't need to do that one. I can go to off. Just all a little bit loud there.
Unless you want the penthouse anyway. Then I'll stay here instead.
No, you take the penthouse. It'll be easier for you.
Alright. It isn't supposed to be this easy, is it? Can he really react so aloof to it?
Isn't this to your liking? I imagine that you'd like the space and independence. You'll have the bed and covers to yourself, and you can have whatever you want prepared for meals. You can even have all the wine you want, though I'd rather that you don't.
This isn't about that, Hannah. Well, it's partly that, but...
The man stops playing with his food, choosing instead to push the plate aside.
What's wrong, Luke?
He slumps back in his chair and just stops short of putting his feet up on the table. Why would you do that? I suspect he's wanting some wine or absinthe by now, but any sort of alcohol is suspiciously absent in his hands.
Aside from that disaster yesterday and you telling me you want a divorce, everything is peachy keen.
Good.
Will you want me to start on the letters then? To start the divorce settlements and whatnot? Will you be seeking ways to throw me out onto the street without a penny to my name?
Oh my god, man-child.
No, Luke, this isn't a divorce. I just told you this is only temporary. Are you really having a sulk because of what she said yesterday?
I am having a sulk because you believe her. You stormed out and now you're asking for us to split up? Soon enough, you'll want to throw me out like I'm a piece of trash.
Oh my god. Even Hannah herself was like, I could believe it. This man is terrible. I'd believe anything anybody says about him.
Do you think I would be this calm if I believed her, Lucille Mitchell, right? Because believe
Ooh, the
me,
full
if
name.
I did, well, it wouldn't be pretty.
I thought you did believe her though.
Besides, I know how you feel about children. It makes her whole statement laughable.
Sure, whatever you say.
What? His mouth draws into a thin line, and I can't bring myself to comment on his half-hearted reply. To me, the silence that follows feels oppressive. It only emphasizes the wall that has been built up by my... how do you say that? Obeisance? How do you say that? Wait. Hold up.
Obeisance.
Obeisance. It's a gesture expressing deferential respect to... What? Okay. Obeisance and his hubris. And it looms between us, keeping us apart.
When are you leaving? In a week?
Wait a second. Hold on. Almost forgot. Kind of sleepy.
It won't take that long to pack. After All Saints, perhaps? I'll go and inform the staff of this.
He only nods. And I'll be lying if I said that didn't disappoint me. During breakfast, Hannah asked Luke for a break. She'd be moving back to their penthouse for a couple of days. Despite trying to remain aloof, her husband accused her of wanting a divorce. Hannah insisted she simply needed a break from him. Dang. I expected more resistance. The man could be stubborn as a mule if he wants to be. Perhaps I can leave now, just to spite him. But that isn't like me. Even if this does end in a divorce, a thing we both surely wish to avoid, we can still leave on amicable terms. There's no point in making a mountain out of a molehill.
What are you still doing here? Just leave. You still have some packing to do, don't you?
Damn, bitch, you want a divorce that bad? Cause we can make that happen.
Go ahead. I won't stop you.
Hannah, you should do it. You should do it. Go ahead and do nothing. There isn't much to do, it seems, whenever I step up to the plate and try to take responsibility for something. Perhaps because everything is already being handled by someone hired specifically for that job, and with Johans overseeing the staff and Luke handling everything else as a whole, that doesn't leave much for me. I can't even take the job of delegation because all it takes is a word to one of the senior staff and everything will be taken care of for me. Moving in here a few days ago may have very well been the chore that took the most effort from me, and that didn't take any real effort at all.
Yes, Hannah, go buy a mansion in the middle of nowhere. Good idea. Great plan.
There are no dishes to set aside and busy myself with. Any mess left behind is now nearly non-existent. To sit on a counter while eating cake is supposed to be my next plan. Alas, there isn't even one to finish off, and I don't really know what brought me to the kitchens in the first place. It's not like I'm craving anything else, nor do I have any unfinished business left here. But there's a calling to this room. It's that fucking death basement. Speaking of calling, why not do just that? Might as well since I have nothing else to do. At least that will require some effort on my part. With how cut off from the rest of Luxborn the mansion is, and with how long it was abandoned before we moved in, having a landline is out of the question. The solution supposed to be our mobiles, though it isn't much considering how spotty the signal is in the area. It'll take a bit of maneuvering to get even a single bar as it is. It takes a bit, as I said it would. I have to park my rear on one of the cold drawers, but that suits me just fine. What? Another matter that needs my effort is who to call. She who must not be named is certainly off the list. That doesn't leave much in the category of close friends who attended the party, along with the category of who else is awake at this early hour. But soon enough, I manage and the call goes through.
Hello, Rebecca Gales here.
Oh, Becky.
Who's this?
Good morning, Becky.
Hannah? Oh, wait, how did you get my number?
You responded to your RSVP through the phone. It's all saved in here, of course. I thought I'd like to say hi and make plans and get together sometime. Also, I'd love to hear news about your mother and father and about you, my dear. Oh, I hope I didn't wake you up.
Oh, you're good. It's sports day at school today, so I was just prepping for that.
Figures that you'd be a teacher as well. I'm sure your students must absolutely adore you.
Don't know about that.
Mathematics?
History, actually. Anyway, it's real nice to know you've got my number. I was going to ask for yours because Mom wanted to keep in touch.
You could have asked, silly girl. I would have gladly given it to you.
Let's see.
Couldn't, though, because, well, the thing that happened.
Ooh.
But really am sorry, though. I gotta run. School, schedule, stuff.
Stuff?
Is there anything else you want to say? Don't want to use the mobile while driving.
Smart.
Oh, of course, of course. I shouldn't keep you. But I wanted to thank you for your company yesterday.
Not a problem.
I was hoping you could thank Zachary on my behalf as well. He was really kind and wonderful.
Well, you can tell him that yourself if you want. I can give you his number.
Oh, no, I don't want to be a bother. Intruding on his privacy.
Privacy. Oh my god, British people.
Pretty sure he'd be fine with it. If you two on a first name basis and all. So his number, right, it's...
I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. Wait. I need. This is worse. This is worse. I should just go. I should just keep going. A strange clicking noise drowns out most of her words too. I can barely understand what she's saying. Girl, just text me. Oh my god, that was real bad. Just text me, girl. The line goes complete. But I can feel a headache coming along. It's just building up, starting from a light throbbing on one side of my head. Oh, are you sure? Are you sure about that? I don't know about that. The static is gone and that helps a lot. But there's still that incessant, horrible clicking. Is that what you call that noise? Clicking? Again and again and again. Which doesn't make sense. The mobile's turned off, isn't it? And if it isn't coming from the phone, then where? Oh my god. You're in my ear. You're in my walls. Please stop. Looking about, I can't but let my eyes be drawn to the hatch leading into the wine cellar once more. I hate this noise. Oh, thank god. I hated that. That's when the clicking stops and I can hear that crying. That familiar crying from before. I'd rather hear the crying than that weird ring girl noise. Hannah called Rebecca Gales, hoping to catch up with an old friend. The talk got interrupted by a horrible clicking and the cry of a woman from the wine cellar. What happened the other day when I was told that nobody should have been down there? I tried to forget it because of how it unsettled me so. One can hardly do that when I'm looking at the very thing I'm trying to forget. Somebody's crying down there again. But if I leave it open, it simply won't stop bothering me for the rest of the day. They might have forgotten to lock it, but with the party going on.
This again?
Say once more.
If somebody is pulling my leg, I will not be happy.
Oh, fucking don't. Stop. Stop. True enough, all it takes is a bit of a pull to open the hatch. As I look down the cellar, a sense of uneasiness washes over me. Why is there no light in the cellar? Hello? Isn't... What is this? It isn't just the sudden onset of vertigo and nausea, but also the darkness. It's suffocating. And as I look down, it feels as if it's looking back at. Oh, girl, I don't want to see any eyes down there. I worry that something will suddenly pull me into the deep. It might. The cries drown beneath the shrieks that start echoing in my head, high and shrill like nails being dragged across a chalkboard. They're all screaming, shouting at me, and I can just feel her rage. Help me. She wants to drown me, drag me down and crush me in the very depths of the darkness until there's nothing left of me. The deep abyss waits for me, for my death. They're all calling for it. This is a nightmare. Oh, fuck, not again. There's a rope around my neck and I can feel the rest of me being torn apart. And they're still screaming. I'm screaming. Though it is not my voice that escapes my lips. It claws through, climbing up and forcing its way up my throat like putrid bile. I choke and gag and shriek all at the same time. And I'm me, but not me. Oh, I actually skipped it. Wait, I didn't mean to skip it. I don't want to skip it.
If somebody is pulling my leg, I will not be.
I'm not a pussy. I'm screaming the. B. I. Z. I accidentally like. I fucked up the window, didn't I? Am I okay now? Okay. It pushes me down to my knees before I'm prone and vulnerable on my stomach. What relationship? What? It makes me tumble and I can just feel my whole body seizing, writhing on the floor. Everything and nothing hurts. It feels like I'm on the verge of death. And if I'm not dying, I nearly wish I actually am.
Hana? Hana, what is going on in there? Why are you?
Prince!
Oh my god, it is the first first family that owned this house is actually like, it is her, the girl that owned the house, the original owner. Seeing Luke, something snaps back, and I am able to take a gasp of air on my own volition for the first time in what felt like centuries. I would have rejoiced and cried for his name if the pain still did not rack my body. Instead, all I can do is stare listlessly as he comes to my side and lifts me up, cradling me in his arms. He tries to get me to my feet, perhaps to take me out of here. Oh, is it because I didn't completely fuck up the relationship? But all he's able to do is get me to sit, make sure I'm not trashing on the floor. Should I be thrashing? I can still feel my muscles spasm, limbs jerking like a puppet on a string. Luke holds me tight and keeps me still so that I do not hurt myself anymore. Whatever it is that happened, it has my mind feeling frayed and battered. Eventually, the pain dies down to a dull ache, and my own tongue stops feeling like cotton. It's only now that I can feel the wetness on my cheeks, tears streaking down my face. A coughing racks my body now that I don't feel like choking. And it just all feels so horrible. But I don't care. I don't care.
Please.
What happened here? Who did this to you?
I don't know. I'm so sorry.
Shh, it's all right. You're safe now, Hana. You're safe now.
Or is she? Zach. Alright, let's go. Zachary Zach Steele. March 30, Pisces, 31 years old. Height, oh my god, 6 foot. Occupation, freelance photographer. Nationality, American. Religion, agnostic. Diploma in digital film. Pie, photography, filmography, documentaries, cooking, acoustic guitar, video games. Nice. Before his parents' death, he lived in New Jersey where his family owned a diner and bakery. He and his older sister were orphaned due to a hate. What? And they were forced to move to England where their grandparents lived. He had loved cooking and helping out with their old diner, but grew lazy and disinterested after the incident. It did not help that he was one of the few black people in a predominantly white community at the time. His passion for the visual arts was sparked when he found old Polaroids and home movies of his parents. Freelancing helped pay his rent, but the man had long set his sights on the indie film scene. It was during the creation of his first documentary that robbery occurred, and Ashton was there to investigate. Being in the wrong place at the wrong time led to Zachary being placed as a suspect, but the rookie detective helped him clear his name. Nice. What is this? Oh my god, I just got a text from work. Oh my god. Oh, cute. My work is having like a holiday themed week. The pleasant aroma hits me long before I cross the threshold. Faint but light and warm, a reminder of what home is. Pa's stern but commanding gaze, Ma's tender smiles, the sunlight filtering through the eaves in the morning, and the distinct smell of cinnamon and vanilla as it drifts through the air every time something cooks from the room. The room, our room, Ma and Pa's pride and joy. My sister and I too, eventually. But we ain't allowed there. Not yet. Not until we're taller or older. Blah, blah, blah. Not until we've learned how to take care of ourselves and not burn our hands or reach the cupboards without having to be lifted.
But a little peek wouldn't hurt, yeah?
The floorboards are cold under my feet more than it usually is. The walls more forbidding than what I'm used to. Farther and farther the room goes. Ma's singing ceases and Pa...
No, please wait. I'll be good. I'll sleep on time. Don't go.
Aww. I can't hear Pa. Not above the raucous clanging and the deafening roar of gunshots, nor the screams replacing the comforting soft melodies. There is only the blinding fear. When my foot slips, the red sea that catches me is bitter and frigid, but the blood that drips in my hand is warm, warm, warm. It ain't my blood. The walls tumble and everything goes quiet. Oh my god. Oh my god. It takes a few moments for everything to fall into place, for my eyes to adjust to the relative darkness of the room. Despite the pleasant chill that AC brings, my shirt is clinging tightly to me, and my blanket is a tangled mess around my throat. Oh. That's not good. Morning has not even arrived, and yet...
Way too early for this thing, man.
Aww. And too long. Too long since the last I've woken up drenched in my own sweat, head littered with thoughts that are gone as soon as my eyes open. All too often, only imprints and brief images are left to haunt me for the rest of the day, or until my mind forgets about it. Egad, whichever comes first. I don't like this word. Yet, vivid or not, what little I can remember does not matter. Regardless, the desperation sticks, clawing up, pushing, urging me to relive every moment, every sensation, and... There's a twinkle in Ma's eyes when she looks up from her work. Floor dusting her nose and cheeks. Flour, what the fuck? The scent of freshly baked bread wafts from the oven as soon as Pa opens it, and the homely fragrance of honey fills the room. He reaches up to wipe the small beads of sweat away from his forehead before gesturing for me to come closer the moment he spots me on my little hiding place behind the door. I expected him to be angry, but his pat on my back when I come within his arm's reach is encouraging enough. We'll have to taste these first before you put it up for sale tomorrow. You up for it, little man? Is it good enough? A knock cuts through the air before I can answer. Sharp, heavy, demanding, familiar. So distantly familiar. Ma ushers me out the kitchen when Pa moves to answer it. But I know it waits outside. The taste of blood in my mouth sent an unpleasant churning in my gut. Ma's apron crinkles under my tight grip. Something snaps back into place. My bed remains in an utter disarray. The walls still need a new paint job, and the wall clock ticking opposite my bed is as unsettling as ever. Ash is right. I should have already replaced that when I had the chance.
You're no longer there, Zachary. Here and there are miles apart.
Aww.
Calm down. Breathe.
The pressure of my own fingers against my temples a welcome sensation over the anxiety gripping me. It never really did anything to stave off the headache sure to follow after this before, but it grounds me. A little reminder that I am safe, away from the place I once called home, from Ma and Pa's. The urgency with each rap that follows finally chases away the ghosts threatening to hang around. Why anyone thinks it's a good idea to knock at someone else's door this late confuses me. Nana would chase them all the way with a broom if she was here. But no matter, it's a welcome break from the thoughts about to take a morbid turn if left festering. It's probably just Ash anyway, looking for a place to crash. Looking for a place to crash. Wonder of wonders why he's bothering with the courtesy when he never did so before. Even with that hunch, though, habit compels me to check who it is first through the peephole. Better safe than sorry, they say. Okay, I'm scared. I'm scared it's gonna be a jump scare. Except the person that greets me on the other side, it ain't him. Unless his hair grew longer overnight and he started wearing a ponytail, of course, which I highly doubt will happen anytime soon, no matter how funny that looks in my head. I waste no time opening the latches.
Isabella, it's late.
A safe haven. Oh my god, so she survived? What day is this? Wait, what day is this? Timeline. What day? Is she okay? There's something I can't quite pinpoint in her eyes when she looks up. Her face is a pallid shade, shoulders tense, breathing heavy, and an uncontrollable shaking in her hands she's trying to hold back. Hide, if I didn't know any better.
Hey, Zach. Sorry, I know it's weird for me to show up at this hour, but you were the closest
She's okay.
to my office, and...
No. It's perfectly fine. I'm not really working on anything right now. Do you want to come in?
Is it all right? I know you should be sleeping at this hour, but I thought...
What's... Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, I just thought... I have no idea why I went here. My feet just moved on their own after I got out of the office, and... Sorry.
She trails off, her voice lost in the muggy night air. I wait for her to say more, but instead her only response is a downward shift of her gaze, back to her still trembling hands as if the motion alone is enough of an explanation. A minuscule gesture. Easy to miss if one is not paying attention. But for someone who has seen the same expression on the mirror, done the same thing too many times when night terrors are inevitable, it is not.
Hey, don't worry about it. At least you knocked.
What? Do you not lock your doors? What?
Ash just barges in and crashes on the couch whenever he feels like it.
How does he do that? Does he have a key or something? I don't get it.
I swear that guy is one fine hairline away from being a criminal. Besides, you already know you can count on me whenever.
Aww. Without waiting for an answer, I step away from the door and saunter over the kitchenette. For a few good seconds, only the clinking of the plates can be heard above the constant tick-tock. Late as it may be for a snack, the familiar motions keep me occupied, steered my mind away from dangerous thoughts. Isabella's company is not unwelcome either. Whatever her reason for showing up here at such an hour doesn't matter. I'll be damned if I just turned her away, frazzled as she is. The door clicks shut behind her when she finally enters, feet scuffling softly against the tiled floor. In all the years I've known her, she has never once lost her ever upbeat spirit. Yet in this particular moment, as she stands in my doorway holding her arms close to herself, it's as if I can't speak. It's as if I'm looking at someone completely withdrawn from the person I've come to know all these years.
Do you want to drink or eat anything? I haven't restocked my food stash yet, so ingredients may be a bit limited. But I'm sure I can whip something up with what I have here.
Just water will do, please. Thanks, Zach.
Aww.
What? No additional food requests? That's new. I'll put something together for you anyway.
Oh, Zach is literally the best character.
Hey, feel free to make yourself at home. You ain't exactly a new visitor here. Although my room's not at its most presentable right now. Sorry, New freelance gigs and such. Didn't have time to fix things up here lately.
It's okay. I don't mind.
Usually she'd have something more to say about that. Also, Isabella's room is even worse. A quip, a witty remark to provoke a laughter or two. Nothing from her this time. Only a weak smile before she takes a seat on the couch, and a silence that stretches out until what we left hanging feels disconcerting. Before everything turns stifling and awkward, I continue talking, if only to keep the dead air at bay. How's one supposed to keep a conversation going when the person you're talking to is like this?
Anyway, gigs. Can you believe this one client we got? Boss had all my scheduled shoots shifted after they caught wind of this couple buying a new property. Man, must be nice to have all the money in the world. The world itself moves for you, huh?
She's curled up on one side of the couch and hugging her knee close when I bring the tray carrying the sandwiches and the water she requested. She starts to straighten up as I'm unloading the contents, but pauses as soon as I hold up my hand in a halting gesture.
You're a guest. Didn't I say you're free to make yourself at home? Here's your water. Careful.
The tremor in her hands, though lighter now, still hasn't subsided when she reaches out for the glass. I give her a questioning look, but she is quick to avert her eyes, keeping herself occupied by taking small gulps of water. Or maybe she just doesn't want me asking questions. Worrying. The sun lost for words, this bout of quiet not normally present in our chats. Even the creaking of the old chair when I casually take the seat is a welcome break. Although the company's familiar, this has gone way past unnerving.
What happened? Overtime at work?
She doesn't answer immediately. Another gulp drains her glass of its remaining contents. One would think it would be enough to help her recover, yet she doesn't lose her taut grip on the glass as she cradles it on her lap. Her eyes take an unfocused gaze when she speaks again.
Yeah. Boss handed me extra work today. After what happened to Rose.
Rose? Why do I feel like you've mentioned her before? Sorry, I'm better with remembering faces than names.
She was my coworker. That will take some getting used to. I was just talking to her the other day.
Was? Did she resign or something? I think I'm missing a few details here, Bella.
You've never met her. I think I did mention her once or twice. It doesn't matter. You probably heard her name recently from the news than me.
Something clicks then. A little memory from the night before. The bright red light from the dark room, the strong odor of the stop bath, television's barely audible murmur in the background, and a glimpse of a bloody room. The news is everywhere, even in the morning that follows. I just didn't think its effect will strike someone this close to me.
Oh. Damn. I didn't mean to bring that up.
No, like I said, it'll take some getting used to, but it'll get better. I hope it will. Things might become a little busier for me, though. She left a lot of things unfinished, and I'm one of the few people in the office who knows how she works. Boss thinks the transition will be easier if I handle it.
That explains it. Well, just don't forget you still need rest. Even the most hard-working people I know don't keep hours as late as this. Hell, the subway stopped running hours ago. Crime rate might be lower here than most places, but that doesn't mean you can walk around freely in the middle of the night.
Oh, I don't think she's worried about getting watched.
It's just for today.
Still a good thing you dropped by here first. I'm not just about to let you walk out here alone, especially not in the middle of the night. Who knows what else could happen? I'm not saying you should go right now, but I could accompany you home if you...
No! Wait, please!
The vehement tension in her voice makes me pause, and it is in this instant the mask she's been keeping up falls apart, if only for a short while. Right then and there, I understood what's hiding behind her unfocused stare from the moment she arrived. Fear. Pure, unadulterated fear. It's disturbing to see such marring her usual upbeat countenance. With a sigh, I cross the small distance separating us and kneel in front of her. She doesn't flinch when I do so. However, the way she appears to make herself smaller against the couch is telling enough.
Bella, this ain't just about your coworker, is it? What is it really about? I'm all ears.
Ah. Oh my god, don't do that. Also, you need to pay for that. The sound of glass shattering rents through the air as soon as her hold on it loosens. In the span of a few seconds, her breathing grows labored.
I don't know. I don't know anymore.
I'm scared. She claps her hands over her ears, pressing it tightly against the side of her head. Her voice grows weaker with each word, each plea coming out of her mouth.
Please, please don't leave me alone. I don't want to be alone right now. I can't shake it off. Everywhere's not safe and...
Alright, Isabella. Look at me. Look at me.
My hands are firm on her shoulder when I pull her up to look at me. It takes every force of will to ignore the terror in her eyes in favor of taking control of the situation. Too close, too similar.
Breathe. Breathe. You're safe here. Inhale, hold, exhale. Stay in the present. I'm here. No one's gonna hurt you. Do you want to talk about it?
Oh, the force with which she shakes her head is enough reason to drop the topic altogether.
No more. Please, no more. I don't want to remember anymore.
Kate, no more talking. I won't ask any more.
Aww.
Can I get you anything? Another glass of water? I think I have a tub of that pistachio ice cream you love so much.
Aww.
We're gonna have to clean this mess first. Will you be fine on your own for a little while?
She nods slightly before retreating into herself again. No more words are exchanged after that. I take that as my cue to start cleaning the shards littering the floor before either one of us get hurt. The quiet hum of the AC is a pleasant distraction as I go over the menial task. More so than her ragged draws of breath or my little feeble attempts to tell a quick story or two. But the latter does the trick. And soon enough she has already drifted off by the time I return with the promised glass of water. Her chest rising and falling in a steady rhythm. The strain of her shoulders gone. Frankly, I've never seen her this still. She mumbles something I don't quite catch when I carry her to the empty bed and hugs herself tighter against the mess of blankets. In spite of the fact that she appears relaxed, the small frown on her face hasn't quite disappeared. Whatever happened to her won't be leaving her anytime soon. But for her sake, I hope it won't stay long with her. Well... Because no matter what promises I've made, this is the kind of fear no person could shield her from. I should know. There are still questions left to be unanswered. But the late hour, coupled with sudden exhaustion, made my old couch a more comfortable bed than it typically is. A frightened Isabella Santos knocked at Zachary Steele's apartment in the middle of the night. Shaken, she refused to say what happened. Zachary let her stay regardless. Aww. Darkness immediately welcomes me as soon as my head hits the makeshift pillow. I can only wish the dreams will keep at a distance for now. For both of us. The first few notes, while muffled, are enough to wake me. In the end, it became one of those nights when sleep passes like a blink and is plagued with vague, fuzzy thoughts. I lift a hand to rub away the drowsiness from my eyes, although it does little to relieve the gritty, burning sensations from my eyelids. Outside, the sun has yet to peek over the horizon, but night has already given way to the cool morning light, washing everything in subtle gray hues. At this hour, the entire city remains unstirring. Ordinarily, waking up before my own alarm means abusing the snooze button twice or thrice just to catch those precious few extra minutes of sleep. But the persistent ringing makes it impossible for now.
This better be good.
Groggily, I scramble for the bag sitting at the foot of the bed. The ring still hasn't stopped, even as I fish the phone out, and Ashton's name flashes brightly on the screen when I turn it on. Must be pretty urgent if he hasn't dropped the call yet.
Took you long enough, Z-Man.
Ashton, it's 6 in the morning. The sun hasn't even risen. Hell, my brain ain't even awake yet. Stop calling me Z-Man.
It's 20 past 6, Zach.
Okay.
You want to talk? Give me back my 5 extra minutes, Ash. I want my sleep.
Hey, don't make fun of me. I can be a more person
Oh my
too
God.
if I want to.
What's this all really about? You don't usually make calls around this hour. Is the world ending today?
Sorry about that.
Oh my god. What if?
Becca rang me up a few minutes ago looking for Isabella. Said she didn't show up in her own apartment last night. We both tried calling, but her phone seems to be off. Do you have any idea where...
I should have known you two would come looking for her first thing in the morning.
Not a laughing matter, Zach. You can't really let your guard down with everything that's happened here recently. You've heard about the Cooper wound from the news. Everyone in the precinct has been restless ever since the incident the other day.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Listen, Ash, about About Bella.
I let my voice trail off, unsure of how to go about recounting last night. If I should even say anything to him. He might be a close friend, but at the end of the day, whatever's bothering her ain't mine to speak of in the first place. On the bed, Isabella remains as still as when I transferred her the night before. Sometime during her sleep, she pulls up a blanket over herself and tucked into it comfortably. Like this, it's easy to forget the horror in her eyes, or how much her hands and lips trembled. Save for a firm grip on the edge of the covers, she appears nearly as normal as she would any other day. Almost.
I'm not really sure how to go about this while being...
Zach, what about her?
Something, the worry, the concern, must have surfaced in my tone because his own shifts then. Carefully, as if he's preparing for the worst.
Look, you don't have to worry about her. She's with me right now. Since last night, in fact.
Oh, why didn't you just say so earlier?
She kinda knocked in the middle of the night. I couldn't possibly wake you two over that. And with how things are when she arrived, I thought it'd be best if I let her rest
What if
first.
she's awake?
I just wasn't expecting people would be looking for her before the rooster even crows.
You could have at least called her something. Becca's beside herself with worry when she found out. You know how much she frets about the smallest stuff.
Yeah, why don't you text them?
I know. I'm sorry. That was a lapse on my part. And I just didn't think, okay, you know what? Rebecca's worries ain't completely baseless. Isabella hasn't been her usual self since the movie. Maybe even before that. I don't know if I should be opening my mouth about this, but Bella didn't outright say I shouldn't, so...
Dude, she's in the same room as you. I would be worried that, like, she'd wake up and
So
hear.
something's wrong then?
I'm not quite sure, to be completely honest. I couldn't get the story out of her.
Really? I thought you'd learned something from me by now.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
That's not it. Ash, when she appeared at my doorstep last night, she was shaking, and when I tried to ask her about it, she just panicked. Had this frightened look on her face. I'd be surprised if this was the first time I've seen it, but it ain't. Dude, the first time, she was screaming.
First time? When was this? You weren't talking about the thing in the movie house, are you? Because that was just us fooling around. Granted, I think I went overboard with the joke, but...
No, it happened the day after. When she invited us to lunch, you weren't there. We were walking one second, and then the next, she's crying out. I'll be straight with you. That scared me shitless.
It bothered him if the way he falls silent after his telling. But whatever his opinion is stays absent from his voice when he speaks again. He's always been good with that, hiding what he thinks.
Did she say anything else?
Nothing. Won't tell me anything aside from a few vague words. I didn't want to push it.
Where is she? Is she still sleeping?
Right here with me, still sleeping. Should I wake her up or something? Let her know you guys are looking for her?
No need. Let her rest. I'll drop by in a few.
Today? Don't you have work at this time? I mean, I can drop her off home myself before meeting my client later.
Look who's talking.
My schedule's flexible, Ash. Last time I checked, you're the one who didn't have that luxury. How on earth do you think I'm able to tag along when you need me?
It's not completely out of the way.
They live on the other side of the town from you, Ash. Your definition of out of the way is a little screwed up, you know.
It's fine. I have some things I need to do anyway. I'll call you back. I've got to let Becca know that Scared Cat's fine. Bye.
Don't call her that. Oh my god, he drops the call before I can even get a word in, and for several minutes after, I found myself simply listening as the rest of Luxborn rouses. Come morning, Zachary received a phone call from Ashton, who was looking for Isabella. Zachary informed him that she stayed over and of the circumstances. Before ending the call, Ashton offered to pick her up. The increasing sound of passing traffic, the bustle of the nearby shops preparing for the day, and the growing clamor of the people while they go about their morning. Not the most soothing sounds to hear following a troubled night, but the routine puts me at ease nevertheless. What's comforting, what's safe, what I'm used to. Nearby, Isabella shifts but doesn't wake, blissfully unaware as the city slowly stirs itself back to life. Was her night as restless as the one I had? Were her dreams as lucid? In hushed moments like this, I envy her. Unreasonable, probably a little unfair, to say such in light of last night. If only forgetting is as easy as breathing. A small yawn escapes me when I rise from the couch to stretch. Luckily, the short conversation with Ash has effectively driven away any will to go back to bed. I still have a day to get through despite the proverbial ghost hanging around. Also the real ghosts. The orange bottle sitting at the edge of my table is reassuring against my palm the instant I pick it up. The sterile odor of the capsules equally so. Yet the weight they carry is something I've never gotten used to. Years ago, I'd spend minutes, heck even hours, staring at a single pill prior to taking one in. Now it's just routine, a way to stave off the unwanted nightly visits. Although I don't think Dr. Navarro will be quite pleased if he ever finds out I'm relying on them again. I do owe him a visit regardless, especially after missing our appointments on purpose and ignoring his calls for weeks. Another sigh comes out, tired and weary, and then I pop the tablet in my mouth.
Zach? What time is it?
The bottle in my hands hits the table with far more force than necessary. As much as I trust my friends, there are some things I'd rather keep to myself.
Morning, Bella. Did you sleep well?
She answers the question with a long, drawn-out yawn, one reminiscent of a child. A chuckle manages to come out of my mouth at the sight. In this manner, it's easy to mistake her for someone too young for responsibilities. Inexperienced and immature, even. Whoa. She just woke up and you're already attacking her. Easy to forget she was thrust into the role of an adult earlier than her own dreams can afford, to overlook how surprisingly observant she can be at times. Maybe not on the same level Ash exercises for his investigations, or Rebecca needs for her own work, but it's certainly enough to deftly put what she sees around her on canvas. And if the way her eyes flicker to the table and my hand says something, it is that I won't be able to avoid the questions this time.
Only a little. I don't remember how I ended up on the bed, though.
My doing. You didn't look very comfortable sleeping on the couch, all hunched up like that.
It would have been enough for something temporary. Sorry I stole your bed.
Aww.
Hey, it doesn't matter. Besides, what kind of gentleman would I
Oh.
be if I leave a lady sleeping in such uncomfortable conditions?
Best character.
Not in this house. My nana will give me a tough scolding if I ever did that, I'm telling you.
Thanks a lot, Zach. I know I barged in at a very inconvenient time last night. I wasn't really thinking when I did, and...
Hey, it's cool, Bella. I ain't mad at you. That's what friends do. You guys are welcome here anytime.
True.
Although Ashton abuses the anytime part a lot, I don't really mind.
No.
We might have less wiggle room if all four of us are present, considering the size of this place. But as long as no one makes anything explode, it's totally fine.
Fine or not, I still owe you one for last night's trouble, especially since you don't seem to be...
A concerned expression passes over her features as she spares another cursory glance over the table, back to the bottle holding every small piece of what keeps the bad memories at bay. The blood blooming over Pa's heart, the horrified look on Ma's face as she watches him fall lifeless to the ground, and every ounce of spite seeping from the stranger's smile. You don't belong here. Oh my god. It never stops, doesn't it?
Well, you don't seem to be feeling well. Let me know, okay? I'll make it up to you somehow.
She makes a slight gesture with her hand towards the bottle, asking a question without really asking. Subtlety has never been one of her greatest assets, but right now, even Ash would have been a little amazed, if not a loss for words at that. She has left it up to me whether I'll ever give her the response she wants to hear or not. A little clever coming from her, if anyone asks me. Oh. Okay. I feel like you can trust her. Mostly because we are also her. Let's tell the truth. Yeah, let's go. But it's never easy, ain't it? Talking about my own problems, that is. It will never be, not by a long shot. Not when I've let it stay this way for so long. I realized that long ago, when the wounds are still fresh and the dreams are a nightly occurrence. Can't force yourself to get better or move on to better things. It is what's normal now, and I can only cope. Hope. The question in her eyes may be unwarranted, born simply out of curiosity and sincere concern for a friend. I don't owe her an explanation, in fact. But of all people I keep close in my life, she's probably one of the few who perhaps I can trust with this. Maybe she won't understand entirely. I can never hope she will. No, never to the full extent. That alone is expecting too much of her, and giving too much of what I can. However, for all her shortcomings, I know she'll hear me out. And that is all I can ask of her.
My bad. I was kinda hoping you wouldn't have seen me with these.
The pills rattle lightly against the container when I gently set it back to its usual place. Always the small area closest to my laptop, near the right hand. Within reach whenever, and a quiet reminder of what I shouldn't miss every day.
What? Oh, is it bad? I was just thinking that maybe it's a cold like Becca's. Do you need me to get anything from the store? Soup or something? There's one nearby, right? I can run real quick and...
No, nothing of that sort. I'm perfectly healthy right now. It's really difficult to say, but can you promise me you'll listen at least?
What is this about, Zach?
I should have been upfront with you about this a long time ago. But Ashton found out without me telling him anything. But you already know how that guy is. Can't hide anything from him.
If it's something you're having trouble saying, you don't have to force yourself to tell me. I'll forget I ever saw anything and won't ask questions. Promise.
Aww.
No, I need to get this off my chest eventually. Besides, we're already here. Might as well finish what I started, yeah?
If you say so.
She takes a seat on the couch, her posture easy and open, and her smile honest. As if this is just a simple talk between two friends on a regular day. It can be. It is far from one, but her unreserved air is enough to stamp down the twinge of unease that threatens to come up.
Let's hear it then.
And she does. Feels like yesterday. True to her words, she listens while the story spills out of my mouth, of my ma and pa, that little old diner across the pond, and what it left in me that day. I can't recall most of it now, my own account jagged with a few missing details here and there. The passing years have eroded most of my recollection of the whole incident. All except for that one moment in the kitchen. The ringing of gunshots are as vivid as it sounded that day. Even Ma's hysterical screams the moment Pa's body hits the floor motionless, his lifeblood flowing out from under him. And the gunman, he was smiling. He was smiling when Pa opened the door to welcome him. He was smiling when he put a bullet to Pa's chest and Ma's head. I've heard stories of how the world can be a cruel place for people like us before. I never believed until that moment.
Nan and Gran took us right after that. Sis and I flew straight to New Jersey as soon as they heard the news. A few days after, Ma and Pa were laid to rest. And we have a new home a continent away. I didn't even get the chance to take my favorite pillow with me.
Oh,
They said something about the change of environment will be good for us. They had no idea the different kind of ghosts would follow me here.
expected questions, mostly those brimming with childlike curiosity, and maybe some that are a little too hard to answer. But to her credit, she just sat there, lent her ears, and looked at me with no expectations or unnecessary judgment in her eyes. She appears wiser and older like this, easier to see the breadwinner in her. What? Her younger siblings are lucky to have her. When I'm done, after everything's been said, she wraps her arms around me, a bit awkward considering the gap in our heights, but it gets her sentiment across. But it's difficult to answer this in kind, if I'm even supposed to reciprocate the gesture given my earlier apprehension. She pulls away shortly with a smile on her face. Not the reaction I braced myself for, but it's obviously better than what I imagined.
Are you not gonna say anything?
Am I supposed to say anything after? Like, apologize or something? I don't think that's very appropriate, but if you want to hear one, I can think of something real quick.
Not really. Other people have something to say after usually. And they're not necessarily nice either.
What? I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
Okay then, I won't. I can't think of something anyway. Sorry, I'm not very good with this. Who else knows, by the way?
My older sister, grandparents, and just Ash and you for now. Maybe I think I should tell Rebecca too, but...
But not right now?
Yeah, not right now. When I'm ready. Like today.
I'm sure she'll be willing to hear you out once you do.
I don't doubt she will. I'm more afraid of how she'll react after. One step at a time, yeah? Whew. Surprisingly, it feels good to get that one out my chest. I was a little afraid you'd be angrier. I didn't tell you earlier than today.
What? That would be a weird reaction.
I'm not angry. I'm just surprised. You didn't look like it. I wouldn't have suspected. I suppose that's how it often is, isn't it? We all have our... what's the word Becca uses? Inner demons? But this is something personal to you. I understand why you'd rather have a few people know.
That too. Well, these past few weeks haven't been easy for you. I didn't want to add that. Not after last night.
Oh my god. Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh no, she's gonna go back. Something passes in her face, brief, fleeting, and disappears right before I can recognize what it is.
You okay?
Yep, no worries. I'll be fine. Look, about last night. Never mind. This isn't a good time. But don't lose sleep over this, alright? What's important is you got what you want to say out. And if you need me, I'll be here.
I should be relieved. Her words are more than reassuring to my ears. There should be comfort in hearing those alone, in knowing I have another person to rely on if things ever go bad. But somehow I find myself worrying more for her instead. I'll make another attempt to get the story out of her if I can. But this is a dance I know all too well, and with her I doubt forcing her to say something would yield any results. As much as I want to imitate Ash, there's only so much I can ask that won't result in something a little over disastrous. At best, she'll stop talking to me until a week passes. At worst, I'd rather not risk it. I've never seen her angry. Outright annoyed, maybe, and often directed at Ash, but never furious. What do they say about happiest people when angered? Besides, it'd be unfair to her after our little chat.
So, food then?
She seems relieved at the brisk change of subject, as if it has been simply waiting for its cue all this time. Her stomach rumbles at the mention of food. Rather loudly, as a matter of fact.
Alrighty, Missy. We're going to get some chow now. Better be quick, though. Can't have your stomach starting a revolution on us here.
Don't make fun of me. I'm not that hungry. Maybe a little.
Ooh.
I didn't think I'd end up skipping dinner last night.
And now we have one starved stomach protesting. Sorry, it'll be nothing fancy, since I'm a little low on stocks. I should probably drop by the grocery store after the meeting this afternoon.
I can make a quick run for you if you want.
Nah, I've got enough to put together something nice here. Maybe.
Maybe.
I could always improvise if we're missing an ingredient or two. It ain't like we're going for a Michelin 3-star status here. Also, didn't I say you're a guest? Is this a Filipino thing? Or just
Filipino
Rebecca
thing.
rubbing off on you?
Soft laughter that comes from her doesn't quite reach her eyes. Neither. The answer is neither. Because if she stays idle, she'll remember.
On second thought, I might need a little help slicing up the potatoes while I prep the ham. You up for that?
What? Do you think instant noodles are all I'm about? I'll have you know, I can cook a mean paella with my eyes closed. All my siblings love it.
Isn't it pronounced paella? Is it not paella?
Sure you can. Come on. I think I know what we'll do with those spare ingredients.
Despite the massive efforts to keep the mood light with small chatter, cooking ends up being a mostly quiet affair. It sounds like taking unknown medicine and concerned asks whether he's suffering from a trauma. Ever since his parents were killed, Isabella could only offer him a comforting hug. Telling the mood, the two decided to cook breakfast afterwards. Between us, the consistent clapping of the knife against the board and the muffled noise from the television I left running, words have become surprisingly difficult to string together. Not entirely unusual. We've had moments like this before, but definitely unnerving with how things are now. I really wish someone would come knocking at the door. Oh my god, Ash is gonna come knocking at the door. As pleasant as this is, breaking the ice or keeping conversation going has never been my forte. That has always been Isabella's or Rebecca's department. Sometimes Ash's, although most coming from him border on awkward or embarrassing. Speaking of the guy, he never did call back, and I'm willing to bet my entire yearly salary that he fell right back asleep after that call.
Sorry, Bella. Could you...
Yep, I got it. The potatoes are almost ready, by the way. I turned down the heat just in case. You might want to check on them, though. Hold on, I'll be right there. Sheesh, wait up. If you keep rapping at the door like that, you'll break it down.
Whoa.
Ash.
Oh, good. You're awake.
Ash has already welcomed himself in when I take my eyes away from the oven. He's never been really keen with the notion of courtesies after he's warmed up to you, this guy. All 13 of my locks he broke can attest to that. Oh my god. He's a good fellow, though. Maybe a tad bit standoffish at first glance, but he's trustworthy.
Don't you have work today?
I could ask the same of you.
Oh.
Hey, Izzy, man.
You're
Oh
late.
my god.
Something came up? You need to drop the Z-Man. It's getting old.
Sorry, I got caught up with something at the precinct on the way here. Had to attend to that first before things got out of hand. I'd tell you about it, but you know how it can be with those kinds of things. Later, maybe.
And you're here because...
What? I'm not allowed to say hello?
I doubt you're here because of that. And you're not answering my question.
Ah, my bad. Forgot to mention that. He called earlier looking for you. Rebecca's worried because you didn't come home last night.
You could have called my cell instead.
You weren't picking up. Anyway, I'd really hate to cut this little get-together short, but I need to be somewhere else. Come on, Isabella, let's get you home. I'll drop you off on the way.
Wait, we're going now?
He lightly claps a hand on her arm and begins ushering her out of the apartment, throwing a casual wave at me as they pass. But the food! Isabella, on the other hand, doesn't appear too fond of the idea. And sure enough, before they can even cross the threshold, she puts a firm foot down, the force alone enough to help them both and catch the taller man off guard. It would have made for a funny picture. The way Ash almost crashes into her and Isabella giving him an indignant pout over her shoulder. Surprise and confusion are on his face all at once, two things that rarely ever grace it if he can help it. A rare moment, even for our small group. If only I had my camera with me. Dang.
What is it?
Zach cooked something.
If it's just food, I'll get you something on the way back.
But the food! It's Zach's cooking! Real delicious food that actually tastes like food. At least stay and have a bite, please. Zach, help me here!
These two, whenever they're in the same room, sometimes it feels like herding a group of unruly kids instead of talking to two mature adults. I can't talk. One moment they're engaged in a pleasant chit-chat, and the next they're bickering over a minor issue. Frankly, if I didn't know any better, and I have an overactive imagination, I'd say there's something going on. Never mind how utterly impossible that idea is. Why are they trying to push them together so hard, huh? Or it might just be me reading too much into things like this. Into things like always. I can already hear Ash's laughter if I so much as suggest such. This, however... Yeah, I cooked up a feast, buddy.
I don't know about you two, but I think you guys should really stay. I've already made enough food for all of us, and it'd be a waste.
Ashton and Isabella. Ooh. Ashton went up. Hello? He's the one that was like, we gotta go. What the fuck?
Why, I cooked up that special honey glazed ham you two keep on yapping about. Got some scalloped potatoes with onions and cheddar to go with it, too.
Oh, that sounds like a phone. The oven timer dings. I shoot the two of them an apologetic look before sauntering over the kitchen, mittens in hand. The sweet smell of the glaze and salty tang of melted cheese wafts through the air as soon as I open the door and take out the two trays inside. The scent immediately fills English hard. The scent immediately fills the entire room, and even with the door and windows open, the mouth-watering aroma lingers. It's appealing enough that when I put the dishes down on the counter, another starved stomach protests loudly, followed by a burst of laughter. My head snaps up at the two of them, and I can't keep back the smile at the sight they make. Isabella is clinging to the doorframe for support, doubled over with breathless laughter. Ash is the more composed of the two, trying to look unconcerned, but a flush has crept up his neck and cheeks. It's clear her stomach that came from, and Isabella's not gonna let him live this down.
You're in no place to reject an offer of free food, Frey.
I wasn't rejecting anything. Damn it, I just missed a meal, that's all.
Aw, he's flustered.
Shut it! Those guys at the precinct said it was urgent. Somebody has to be responsible for it.
Well, aren't you precious?
Right. You know, if you keep laughing like that, you'll burst.
I'm sure it won't be as bad as your stomach suddenly rumbling like a starved.
Aye, kiddos, play nice. Food's gonna get cold if we keep this up. Ash, you gonna stay?
Might as well, since Scaredy Cat's so hell-bent on staying.
Ah, a hearty meal. We eventually settle down after the food has been served, the jibes replaced by another round of friendly chatter, mostly about what's on the news the night before. There is, however, a conscious effort to avoid mentioning what's currently on the headlines. The dead is never a good topic to talk over food and polite company, this case in particular. The wounds are too fresh, too soon. I'd likely avoid it as well if I were in her position, and someone I personally knew passed away in a gruesome manner like that. Though perhaps the closest we got to broaching the topic is when the infamous mansion is brought up again. But even then, we are careful, Ash and I. We keep the conversation light and avoid bringing up her late business partner. It's the least we could do.
The Wrights? Yeah, they're planning to move in soon. In fact, they already have a housewarming party planned. It's why they wanted us to rush the papers. They wanted to send the invitations out as soon as possible.
I'm kind of hungry.
Oh, now I get it.
Get what?
Remember what I told you last night about the new clients?
Vaguely? Sorry. I was a little out of it yesterday.
Oop.
Was it the photo shoot?
Yep, it's actually for the one you sold. Ermite, something. When you put it that way, I suppose it makes sense why my boss wants me to prioritize the couple. They can have those documents rushed at just a snap of their fingers. Then they're more influential than I initially thought. Man, I guess my boss is expecting a lot more from this project than I expected. Hope I can live up to it.
Your photographs are more than good enough, Zach. You'd probably win an international award if you let yourself. Ma'am Hana's easy to please, too.
Ma'am.
As long as you're good at following instructions.
Ma'am.
Easier said than done. Different clients have different tastes after all.
Still, a week? I don't think that's possible.
Now that you mentioned it, yeah. They wanted everything finished at the earliest. To be honest, it's not unheard of, but...
But it's still weird.
What? Why can't you say fishy?
Still weird, yeah?
A slip of the tongue. Still barely noticeable to someone who's already familiar with Ash's ways. Yet in this moment, it's impossible to miss. I shoot him a curious glance, but he ignores it. Rather pointedly.
I can't exactly say it's like that, where I'm just the middleman after all. As much as I want to comment on it, I only know what's on the surface, not the in and outs.
Yeah, Isabella's play is stacked. It's a mountain.
It's just that BRC and my boss are more hands-on with the legal stuff this time, despite having a separate department dedicated to it.
Maybe Mr. Wright helped with it too. They have their own legal team for this, don't they?
Well, they should have one. Especially for a big property like this.
They have, but like I said, it's off our hands. Rose and I don't handle this stuff in the office.
Oh.
If anything, to me, this just means I'll be able to send the rest of the funds to Papa's treatment earlier.
I guess that makes a whole lot of sense. Officially off our instant noodle diet, aren't we?
Oh my god, every single time.
Ash, has anyone ever told you that you have an uncanny way of ruining the mood?
What? I was just saying. A few more months of stuffing your face with those, and I'm sure you'll start to look like a noodle cup.
I want to look like a noodle cup.
That's a pretty picture.
At least I don't live off convenience store food. Or make poor, unassuming pressure cookers explode.
What? How did you... Oh, come on, Zach.
Sorry, it just came up while we were cooking earlier.
I'm impressed, Ashton Frey. You even made it to the news.
That's
A
embarrassing.
one-time thing. And it wasn't as big as you seem to be imagining.
Oh, sure. Let's all pretend that one time you almost set my apartment on fire didn't happen too.
Oh my god, arson.
Hey, that was an accident.
You were making a salad, Ash.
What?
Can we please move on to a different topic?
It helps, the casual talk, the harmless teasing, the mundane stories, interesting enough to let time pass unnoticed. By the time lunch ends, the shadows are no longer at forefront of my mind. If it's the same for Isabella, for whatever troubles her, I can never tell. These things, the anxiety, the fear, they ain't easily seen, ain't easily forgotten after all.
You go on ahead. I've got a few things I need to ask Zach. I'll be downstairs in a minute.
Confusion briefly flashes in her eyes as she catches the tea. The tea? The keys he tosses over, but he doesn't give her an answer and waves for her to go ahead.
How sure are you I won't be driving away with your Shirley?
You don't even have a license. Do you even know how to?
Perfect time to crash the car.
Papa taught me how. I'm probably a better driver than you. See you later, Zach. Thanks for the food.
Aw.
Always has to have the last word, don't you?
You're welcome. I'll send you the recipe for the potatoes tonight.
Pog. A grin is back on her face when she leaves and closes the door behind her. For a little while after we're alone, Ash goes wholly quiet, listening, waiting for remaining footsteps in the hall to fade. The earlier amusement is gone from his face, replaced by what I can only describe as trepidation. I know that look all too well. When he's like this, he's expecting shit about to go down at some point soon.
That wasn't very nice, Ash. What was that with Isabella earlier? You're usually subtler with your questions.
They hired you.
Hired me who? Don't change the subject yet. What's really going on here?
The Wrights. Luke and Hannah Wright. You said your next gig is with them.
Is that what this is all about?
Just be careful around them. You have no idea what you're dealing with when it comes to that couple.
This is
I'd
true.
rather you stay as far away from them as possible, but you're already here. Isabella's their real estate agent. Seriously, of all the people in Luxburn.
Okay. I guess I'll just have to take your word for it.
He nods, claps a comforting hand on my back, and turns to leave without another word. He's never been good with those. More often he fumbles with what he wants to say, but his actions alone are enough to tell me how grateful he is for the trust. He reaches for the knob as soon as he gets to the door, but doesn't turn it. Instead, he looks back and gestures with his head toward the table. I don't need to follow his line of sight to know what he's going to ask about. He's likely taking notice of it the moment he entered the room.
You back on those? I haven't seen you taking them in a year.
Yeah, I kinda had to. It got worse after the film fest. Dreams, that is.
Cause the ghost.
I don't think I'll be doing that again anytime soon.
Heard about that. Don't drop it, though. You don't want Becca scolding you. She actually enjoyed the movie you made, and she's hard to please. Consider that a small victory.
You don't have to tell me. She already did. Rebecca and Bella both gave me an earful after I said the opposite. Promised them I wouldn't, but you can never tell. Hopefully, once I feel better, I'll be able to think about it properly. Speaking of Bella, she didn't open up to me, but maybe with you and Rebecca.
Yeah, I'll try. I can't promise anything, but I'll talk to her.
Thanks. That's all I'm asking.
This time when he reaches for the door, he lets it close fully behind him without glancing back. A mild draft sweeps into the room as I close the door behind him, slightly disturbing the papers on the nearby fridge. A lone note flutters by my feet, the letters on the surface glaring at me with mute intensity. Ermengarde Mansion, H. Wright, 11 a.m. Luxury living. After Ashton's warnings, they all hold a different meaning now. Thursday. Next 2 days rush by in a blur. Altogether, leaving a collective mess of work suddenly piling up and new unexpected acquaintances or friends. Depends on how you look at it, really. Either way, I'm stuck developing these photos at 3 in the morning to reach a deadline set by an overeager art director. Don't get me wrong, Julius is good, has a vision, and knows what he wants, but damn, he can be too enthusiastic sometimes.
Doesn't matter when you couldn't sleep anyway.
There's nothing new in it, of course. After years of working as a freelance photographer, it's simply something I've grown used to. Get to know people, build a client base, do good work, and cash in some late hours if need be. Rinse and repeat. Certainly takes a while to get some footing in the field, but it's the kind of thing that pays off in the long run, as long as you keep at it. Given enough time, you might end up with big names on your client list. Names like the Wrights in particular. I never did pay much attention to them, but it's virtually impossible not to hear about them when a local news channel or paper has something to say on their name. Party here, an acquisition there. Sometimes it's a new business venture. Other times it's everyday gossip that typically follows popular people like them. Not in a million years did I ever imagine I would end up working for such a high-profile couple. And between that and the fuss that comes with it, it leaves me no time to ponder over whatever happened to Isabella or why can't I speak? Why Ash is so adamant we keep away from the pair.
They do seem like the good folk, though, despite the whole fame thing.
Are you sure about that? Sure, there was a rumor running around years ago about him being involved in some business scandal, but just like every gossip blown out of proportion by the media, nothing came of it, and eventually it simply died down. Much is definitely left to be said for the husband, but I doubt a woman like Ms. Wright would pick him if he doesn't have any good points at all. Ms. Wright, Hannah herself, though, She ain't particularly bad the way the press makes her out to be. The tabloids had it all wrong, that's for sure. For someone born with silver spoon in her mouth, well, she ain't exactly what I was expecting. Among other things, the newfound friendship is what I least expected from her, but here we are. Although with a life as public as the Wrights, no wonder it's the woman who often gets the crappy end of the stick. I can't help but feel sorry for her. She's a real nice person when given the chance. Heck, she might have even ended up friends with Rebecca and Isabella too if they weren't living worlds apart. Probably. The beep quickly pulls me back before my thoughts travel any further. In one practiced motion, I carefully place the wet print I'm holding on a drying rack and amble over my makeshift darkroom to get the last photos from the water bath. Inside the converted broom closet, the film processor lets out another soft clack before going on its standby mode. Oh my god, is he gonna find a picture with the ghost in it? At its mouth, a lone photograph sits on the tray, barely visible with the lack of light. It's the last one tonight for the set Miss Wright requested. I don't usually make this a habit, giving away stuff that is. It's bad for the business, no matter how well-intentioned or generous you are. This exception, however. She did treat me well and was a pleasant companion all throughout the shoot. Even if she didn't ask, I would have probably given her a few prints just for the hell of it. Ms. Wright ain't such a bad subject matter to begin with. And maybe this is just me, but for someone who has everything at the palm of her hand, all the money in the world, a loving husband, and a plenty big mansion to call home, she's lonely. She doesn't just appear like it. It shows in the tone of her voice, how she moves, and most certainly in her smiles. Always hidden behind the glamour for the world to never see. Sometimes for people like her, small things like these helps. A little reminder that the world can be kind too. Oh. Water drips on the paper as I blindly pick it up and gently lay it on another tray holding a decent amount of photo flow. A few seconds under the solution is all it needs before it's ready for drying. No good rushing this last one, even if my body's already screaming for some decent snooze. My hands fumble for the light switch, moving towards it with familiarity, while I fish for a squeegee among the mess of tools on a drawer with the other. Save again. The bulb flickers twice before its glow settles and casts a soft light in the tiny space. When I glance back down, squeegee in hand, ready to finish the process and finally call it a night.
What on earth?
I fucking knew it. Her head is gone. Blurred and distorted beyond recognition, rather. The area completely smudged over, leaving no trace of the same sweet smile the good woman carried in all the previous prints.
Damn, that was too careless.
Common mistake to make, of course. If one is negligent enough to pick a newly processed photo in the dark like I apparently did. It has happened before, loads of times actually. But I still can't help but feel a small pang of frustration over one mistake a newbie would likely make. With a sigh, I reached up for the switch again, intending to develop a new one from scratch.
It could pass off for one of those supernatural pictures they show on TV, though.
Because it is. A memory clicks, one cursey thought in the sea of many, and a short yet distinct second from the day before. A glimpse is all I got, but it's enough to burn the image in my mind. There was a shadow. No. A woman. In her 20s or early 30s, maybe? But with how far gone her flesh alone has become, it's not possible to tell at first glance. Also, I don't like that her head is also being moved by it. The skin itself has already taken a sickly pale color, rotten in most parts, blood dripping from every open gash and lesion on her body. Bony hands grip Mrs. Wright's neck like a noose, staining the skin underneath with a vibrant shade of scarlet. Nothing but malice fills the gleam in her eyes.
Zachary?
Not for me, but for Mrs. Wright.
Zach, is something the matter?
Oh no, there's nothing wrong. I just remembered something I saw. Let's get back to the pictures.
This is a long...
Can you move a bit more to the left, yeah?
That memory alone is enough to make me retch. Ooh. I brushed it off then. A trick of the eye, I told myself, or a product of the heat. The weather has been unexpectedly warm recently, so it shouldn't be too surprising for such things to happen. And well, blaming this on the usual fatigue, an overworked brain, the weather, or an amateur error on my part is far more convenient. It makes a whole lot of sense than what the small voice inside my head whispers. The same tiny voice that only makes itself known when something's afoul. The same one that lent a curious ear to Isabella's worries about the mansion. and with each second I spend staring at this photograph, the murmurs in my head only grow louder against my ears. Someone has to know. Is this for a relationship? Okay. Okay, because I feel like if you show it to Ash, he might just be like, oh, are you sure you just didn't make a mistake? And brush it off, because he's a skeptic. And I feel like if you show Hannah, she'd appreciate it, because she's the one that also has been experiencing shit like this. But Hannah probably is already aware that, like, some shit's happening. I don't know. Oh, shh. Did I save? Did I save? Okay. I did. I feel like I need to make Ash convinced that this shit is real, so then he will be more helpful when shit goes down. Ash will give me flack for this. He will. I can already hear what he's going to say about this the moment I bring it up. Hell, before he even sees anything, I'll wager. The guy's a skeptic through and through, and it'll take a lot more than my account for him to even consider this. But when you've been there, seen something enough to raise the hairs on the back of your neck and leave you wanting to flee or hide, what he thinks is the least of my concerns. Also, he's a fucking cop. It'd be good for him to be convinced. I am no hero. That's the title best reserved for someone else. Still, if this'll help him change his mind, it's worth a try. Isabella's gone and done the same thing, didn't she? Outside, the sun has yet to rise. I still got a few hours before dawn, good enough to mull over how I'll go about this with him. Plenty of space to check if I'll get the same result, if I redo the process again. The film processor hums back to life at my touch. The light switch gives out a soft click, and darkness embraces the small closet again. Ah, I think shit's gonna happen.
Somehow those urban legends don't sound so silly now.
Oh, thank God. I do not want to do another quick time of it. Sometimes I wish Ash would make himself easier to find. 24 messages, 13 phone calls, and 1 visit to his flat later, I still have no idea which rock in Luxborn he went off to hide under again. The guy has his own place, but refuses to stay in it. Has his own phone, but doesn't answer any of his calls or give any indication he's gotten my messages. Most of the time, it'll show up on my front door. Sometimes in the middle of the night, complaining how uncomfortable it is to sleep at the back of his Shirley, his car. As if the old couch in my flat is any better. Nothing new from him, though, but a bit frustrating, really. There's the police precinct, of course. Then again, he's not there most of the time either, and if that's also true for today, he's likely out on another stakeout. There's nothing much to do for me but to wait if that's the case.
Let's just hope I'm lucky enough today.
Oh my gosh, Shaggy. While Luxborn is a relatively peaceful city boasting a low crime rate, its precinct stays abuzz with activity. As soon as I open the glass front doors, murmurs coming from people waiting in the lobby welcome me. Officers can occasionally be seen shuffling in and out of the rooms, greeting civilians with casual smile and a polite nod. Some, though, look a little worse for wear, like the receptionist, who looked at me with much disdain the moment I arrived. Thankfully, I won't have to deal with him today. Before I can even step in, Ashton's voice, though low, comes from the hallway adjacent to the lobby.
Not even for just 1 minute?
No. The case was dismissed, remember?
You were the one handling that case.
If you want access to those records, you've got to ask Chief. I was taken off it before shit went to hell. Why do you even bother? Even Professor Clark seems to have given up on that.
Well, Never mind, you won't understand.
Right. I know you owe Professor Clark a lot, but the right guy isn't just someone you mess with. They've got the money. Who knows what else gets swept under the rug with them involved.
That takes a special kind of ignorant not to know.
And a smart person to know which boundaries he can't cross. You're a bright guy, you'll figure it out. In any case, I've got to get going. Another missing person case on my hand. Benjamin on the front desk looks like he's about to maul someone after the 4th one yesterday. Murders, people missing, what a time to be alive. Man, I miss the old Luxburn.
You and me both. I'll see ya. Gonna go grab some lunch.
He notices me first as soon as he enters the lobby and pauses. Confusion briefly crosses his face until I fish out the phone from my pocket and wave it up. Frowning, he pulls his own mobile out, wordlessly fiddling with it for a few seconds before sighing heavily. There ain't any annoyance in him when he glances up, though. Only mild exasperation and what might be a hint of amusement.
Stop taking pointers from Isabella. This is gonna get old soon.
At least use your phone properly.
It's an alarm clock, a good note-taking device, a halfway decent camera, and maybe a music player too. If I'm being nice. What else do I need it for?
I
What?
don't know, keeping in contact maybe?
Yeah, what the fuck? When he merely shrugs, I know I've struck a chord. He's far from holding a piece of technology in contempt, of course. Ash has always been nothing but practical from the start, and technology is useful. Only when he gets too focused on one thing like a case he's handling, he tends to forget there are other things around him. A little reminder and a nudge in the right direction can get him a long way.
I've got an email on that social media site the girls roped us into joining.
That doesn't make any sense. Also, you've got an account before any of us had one.
For policing purposes? Anyway, why are you here? I thought you have something scheduled today. Or was that yesterday?
That was yesterday. Look, about that, there's something I want you to see.
He stops me with a tap on my shoulder, walks past me straight to the door, and gestures with his head towards their very irked receptionist when I raise an eyebrow in question.
Over lunch. I haven't eaten anything since last night, and Benjamin there doesn't really like loiterers around here.
Wordlessly, I follow after him, but not after sending the poor guy around the table an apologetic smile. As expected, he takes a seat in the farthest corner of the cafe, a good way from the window, but easily allows a view of who comes and go. Secluded enough not to be disturbed by the lunch hour rush or be overheard by curious bystanders. If I didn't know this is lunch he invited me to, I would automatically assume I got dragged into another stakeout. After years of knowing him, though, this has simply become one of the many habits I've gotten used to. Food arrives minutes later. A slice of their vegetarian quiche for me. Meanwhile, Ashton has opted for a cup of coffee plus a gracious serving of...
You having cake for lunch?
Is this him on the latte? What the... He shrugs and then proceeds to dig in without even a hint of remorse. Frankly, it's like seeing a child get his Christmas present early.
Don't tell Becca. I'll get an earful. It's just for today.
You should listen to her, though. The kind of work you do, you'll need to eat something other than sweets. I don't want to see you drop dead in front of my apartment again.
Again.
I told you, just this once. Have you been hanging out with Becca lately? You're beginning to sound like her.
Nah, just for some recipes. But she has the right to worry, you know? It's like she's taking care of two kids. One bitches on sweets, while the other on cup noodles. At least Bella knows how to cook.
Hey, I can at least boil something.
You sure? Are you
Wait,
sure about
that's
that?
easy, right? I mean, you just put water in.
Oh my god.
No, don't even think about it.
No.
You destroyed your own kitchen once by sticking a pressure cooker on it. I think my sister is a whole lot better than you. And this is coming from someone who has no other choice but to eat her cooking for some time.
To be fair, he genuinely appears offended at the last remark. Hate will be too strong of a word to describe how Sis and him usually interact whenever they're in the same room. Though whatever appropriate word it is, I can say with most certainty that the feeling's mutual for both. Ash thinks she nags too much, while Sis thinks he's a trouble magnet I should stay away from. They're both technically right on their assessments.
How's your sister, by the way? Still bullying white guys?
What? What should I say? She's married to one now. You're the one who started it. What does that mean?
You do know she's married to one now.
Oh.
I hope she doesn't end up poisoning him with her cooking.
Pot calling the kettle black?
She can't be better than me.
Actually, she is now. They're planning to start a restaurant sometime in the future.
Oh, that's cute.
I was bedridden for days after eating some of the stuff she whipped up. And now you're letting her cook for other people?
Don't exaggerate. It was just for one day, and you're the one who refused to leave your apartment. You should come by, though. Sis gave birth a few days ago. Girl, I've
Aww.
only seen the pictures, but I might visit sometime after everything's settled down. Too many backlogs to go through for now.
No way in hell. She'll just find something to criticize again. Last time, it was Shirley.
He makes a show of being utterly mortified, though I'm quite sure he doesn't mean any of that. He might not say it straight out, but I'm pretty sure he's enjoying the small visits whenever he can. Something about it reminds him of his own family, sort of like making up for the one he never got back after his parents separated. Oh, sore spot that one topic. One thing he never ever brings up in any conversation, if he can help it, and I've never seen the need to be nosy. There's some wounds you're just not meant to open, and for the both of us, the sentiment goes the same way.
As if you ain't already on a shit list. You're just afraid of her.
In your dreams. But I'll think about it. Can't just drop this thing at the moment.
His change in tone is subtle, but his aggravation over the matter hangs completely palpable in the air.
Still no closer?
The opposite, actually. There's been some slip-ups here and there. Careless mistakes, and let's just say I'm waiting for him to make another one. What about you? How are things on your end?
All piled up on top of the other. But I can manage. Still recovering from the expenses for the movie, so the surge in new projects helps. Well, there's this one thing.
The expression on his face grows more puzzled with each photo I spread on the table. There's about 8 of them, all of it reprints of the same thing. Mrs. Wright's distorted head on the photos. He takes a minute to go through each one, eyeing the prints warily. The furrow on his brow doesn't erase even as he gathers all of it into one pile and sets them in one neat stack in front of me with a heavy sigh.
Hana Wright?
Yeah. How did you...
The locket. She never takes it off. Evan's family heirloom.
I won't even think about asking why or how he knows that. If he's investigating them, he'll likely have already dug up every unimaginable dirt on them, including family history.
Are you done with your work with them?
Yesterday, yeah. It's just a small feature for a magazine. Interviews, photos, standard stuff, nothing big. But see, here's the thing. I don't know how else to put this out there without sounding crazy, but there really is something odd with that place. Remember the letter?
He drags in a breath, reaches up his nose and pinches it, like the action alone will help him grant him all the patience in the world to continue this conversation.
Please tell me this isn't about that again.
No, Ash, you've got to listen this time.
I am listening, and I can't believe that just came out of your mouth.
I fucking hate him.
These are some blurred out photos, and that letter is just a stupid prank. I expected this from Isabella, not you. You're the photographer here. I don't see any need to get worked up over this.
I know what you mean, but will you hear me out first?
Ash leans back on his seat and doesn't say anything further. He gestures for me to continue with a wave of his hand, impatience clearly on his face. Any other person telling him this, and he'll walk out without batting an eye. I suppose the only reason he's giving me the benefit of the doubt is because we know each other.
Ash, I don't easily buy into these things as much as you do. Yesterday, though, behind Hana.
He blinks at that, his eyebrows lifting momentarily before settling into a deep frown.
Hana? Since when were you on a first-name basis with the Wright missus?
Why does that even matter?
I thought you said this was just a gig.
His voice stays level, but the accusation in it is as clear as day. It hits a nerve in me somehow. More than that tone usually does. I do get where he's coming from, but... God, okay. That's not the point here, buddy. Come on. What do you mean negative? Of all the things I said, my connection to the Wrights is the first thing he points out. As much as I want to keep my own annoyance at bay, I can't stop it from seeping into my voice.
That's completely beside the point here, Ash.
I warned you, Zach.
I get it, all right? But you can't just expect me to turn it down after I made a commitment to a client.
No. Okay. Because he's still deviating away from it. Even though that's the opposite. Okay. It's really just a gig. Okay, there you go. Patience can be a tough thing to summon at times, but we didn't get this far as friends if we let our temper be the lord of us.
Bro, it's really just another freelance work.
He eyes me skeptically, the same stare he reserves for people he interrogates. I've been on the receiving end of it before, early in our friendship. Years later, he's already got the unimpressed police look down pat.
And there's nothing going on with me and Miss Hana. She was just being friendly. Insisted I call her by her first name, that's all.
I wasn't implying any of that. You're not that sort of guy.
I know, but let's just get that out of the way. The just-in-case elephant in the room scenario, aight? She's a married woman, Jesus!
Not with the image she presents in public.
No, but trust me, she ain't any of the things the tabloid writes about her.
Like I read any of those.
Oh, okay.
I know you don't, but keep it in mind, will you?
Will do. Though I can't promise she'll get off scot-free if she's involved.
anything, Luke's the one that's kind of, little bitch.
Man, with how you're acting, it feels like I'm doing a solid for your girlfriend.
Ew.
Cut that out, will you? And I'm not asking you to. Besides, what's currently going on here is more important.
Yeah, why are you guys ignoring the creepy ass photos in front of you? Hello?
Alright, lay it in.
Recounting everything takes the better half of our lunch, but he manages to listen through the entire thing without a snide comment. A feat in itself, actually. At the end of it, Ash merely nods, takes out his phone, and excuses him. We didn't get through to him at all, did we? Off to a far corner of the cafe for some privacy, if you can even afford to have such a place as public as this. He returns in a little while and hands me a small card. Oh my god, this guy again.
I can't stop you if you're willing to believe in this crap. Give this guy a call. You're better off talking to him than me. He's at the public library now if you want to catch him there. He used to be my professor back in the university.
Oh, no, I don't think that's...
Go on, I already gave him a heads up.
Oh.
You know I can't help you out, man.
He gives my arm a tap and walks off, mumbling about checking back how things are at the precinct. Oh my god, this guy. Oh, it's the Clark, the guy. I don't see his face when he leaves, but I know it's his own. I know this is his own little way of helping out, despite what he doesn't voice out. Of all the places, never crossed my mind I'll end up wandering into the public library today, considering I rarely ever visited. Somehow there's always been this kind of disconnect between me and books in general. Sure, some of them held my attention in my youth during the brief times of the day I was left to my own with nothing to do. I went through the whole of Grant's collection, as a matter of fact. I read all of them twice or thrice even, but they never did hold it for long. Most of it never even sticked. Especially after I learned it's simply easier to do things myself if I want to learn stuff. This ain't the plan in the first place, but after Ashton went through the trouble to contact the professor, I just can't ignore it. I can't just ignore it. Nothing but quiet beats me inside, though. Not the typical mum one would associate with the library, but one akin to a hush prior to an impending trouble. Way to make it sound terrifying. Or perhaps I'm just overthinking again. I really like to think I'm just thinking too much about this, that this is just a lack of sleep talking. Regardless, apart from a group of students murmuring in a corner somewhere, the place is free of its usual visitors. All while my footsteps echo in a manner unsettling enough to raise the hairs at the back of my neck. Much to my relief, it does not take me long to find him, being the only occupant in this side of the room. Professor Andrew Clark. I've never personally met the man, but Ash has spoken highly of him several times. In fact, he is Ash's go-to guy when something's troubling him with a case. My steps are unsure as I approach. At any rate, he greets me with a warm smile like a grandson he hasn't seen in a long time. Aww.
Ashton's friend, I take it. Zachary. You'll have to forgive this old man if I don't get your name right.
Oh, no, you got it. It's Zach. Zachary Steele, Professor Clark.
He gestures at the empty seat across the table while he returns to his books. The next couple of minutes pass in relative silence as he continues to read and take notes from the pile he's accumulated on the table. Maybe I should have taken a book first before hitting here? But before I can even get far into that idea, the professor clicks the book shut and sets it atop the stack next to him.
Ashton told me you were hoping to get answers from me. Although I'm not quite sure what I could share, I'll do my best to help.
Of course there are a lot of things I want to ask. How do we get out of this mess is the first among tens hundreds of concerns in my head. But in the presence of someone I barely know, the thoughts won't easily form. He's nothing but patient, however, and with enough time to mull over, a question finally forms.
Do you believe in the paranormal, Professor?
It's supernatural, actually. Don't worry. It's a common mistake to make, but they really are two different things. The other one deals with what we can't explain at the moment, while the other are things we may not have an explanation to. Here.
Places a couple of papers in front of me, the very same one he was writing on earlier. A study will explore supernatural culture, in a nutshell.
A friend of mine wrote that a few years ago. He took interest in the city after reading about the stories. I have to agree with him here. Even stories dealing with things you don't see with the naked eye can be rife with culture, and this city thrives on it. Just ask the locals.
Like ghosts, for example.
Among other things. The interpretation has changed over the years, though. Various religions, for example, have their own version. It might not always be a spirit now. It could be a memory, or an imprint, an echo, so to speak. Some are born from curses, even. Out of great anger, hatred, or pain, There was this one story. Ah, here it is.
Another book is pulled out from the stack and placed open atop the papers, while he speaks with such passion that it makes me wonder if some part of him believes these to be true. It is interesting, though, even if I'm personally not a fan of such stories. And soon hours pass without my notice.
In the end, it asked for something to be sacrificed in order to destroy whatever anchors the Wraith. A sad tale, that one, but the simplest grudge can bring the ugliest, even in the kindest person, with some people none the wiser. Oh, I'm sorry, I just went on.
Nah, it's good. Are you familiar with the Ermengarde mansion, though?
Of course, that goes without saying. Who hasn't heard of the local legend? Although, word of the mouth is, someone has already bought it.
Ah, yeah. The right couple. It was a close friend who handled that sale.
So I heard. Well, don't think the house being bought by anyone would stop us from talking about it. What is it about the mansion, then?
I just want to ask what you think of it, sir.
We're going to need more than an afternoon for that, young man. You see, it's the kind that has changed over the years, passed down from one person to the next. Sometimes, it's the Lord William who haunts the place. There are versions where it's the lady of the house. But my favorite, a personal favorite, would have to be the ones that followed after the disappearance of the kind daughter.
Well, what about these then?
There's a moment of hesitation on my part before I pull out Mrs. Wright's photos and lay them all in front of him. Unlike Ash, though, the professor inspects each print with great interest. That gives me some hope, at least.
When were these taken?
Just the other day. Do you think those are the same?
Perhaps. Perhaps not. There were certainly instances when the film would pick up what the human eyes weren't able to see. But then, it could also have been human error.
I didn't edit it in any way. You have my word on that, Professor. They all just came out like that.
Then, if it is what you're thinking, I'd strongly advise against doing something reckless and further tangling with them. Accounts about them may be riveting to you, but most of it often ends in an unpleasant manner.
What about those people in the house? If there is something in there, shouldn't they know? I'm sure they're already familiar with the legends, but...
Some people might deserve it, however.
What? What?
Deserve what, sir?
All of a sudden, the tenderness in the professor's eyes disappears, his face becoming unreadable. Oh my god. They did something to fuck up his career, right? And that's why Ashton is so like I need to investigate them. And that's why he brought up Professor Clark. As though catching himself, he hastily clears his throat, gathering his books and rises from his seat.
Professor?
I'm sorry. I just remembered something I neglected to do. You'll have to excuse me, Zachary.
All right. Do you need any help with that?
Don't let my looks fool you, son. I can still carry a few hundreds. I've been doing this for years. I'll see you some other time if you have any other questions.
Of course. It was nice knowing you, Professor.
He doesn't hear it, however. A few short strides, he's out of the library, leaving me and every piece of this whole mess amidst the oppressive stillness. Kinda sussy. Despite the answers gleaned, more questions surfaced. If there is even a single way out of this, I hope we find it soon. The moon is still well into the night sky by the time I make it back home. Save again. My heavy treads and the sound of traffic outside echoing in my ears, filling the empty room with some semblance of life. Nana would scold me if she ever hears me walk like that, but after today, I really can't give a damn about everything. The mattress creaks under my weight as I unceremoniously flop down on it, and I find myself looking at the paper under my grip. An invitation and a request to cover an event, the Wright's housewarming party, tomorrow evening. If only it were that easy, but it'd give me a chance to talk to her. About that thing in their house. With a sigh, I let my hand fall to the side of the bed along with the invitation. I'll think about it tomorrow. My head ain't muddled with thoughts of a headless woman and the haunting smells of a ghost. Belatedly, it occurs to me the last meal I ate had been the one with Ashton. And an empty gnawing ache makes itself known, but I can't bring myself to stand up. Today was a complete waste of time, and frankly, a disappointment. I don't like this. The lack of certainty, the disquiet, the lack of stable ground to stand on, the part where I do not know what will come tomorrow. Ever since that damn letter, everything has been thrown out of the loop. I wish everything stayed the same. Routine would have been easier to make sense of than this. Closing my eyes, I let the noise from the streets below lull me to sleep. At the very least, that's the one thing that hasn't changed. Okay, Saturday. Okay. Okay, I'm kind of tired. Okay.